You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
And welcome back to the Renegade Blitz podcast. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker. A heartbreaker yesterday in Miami. The Steelers lose 16-10. The big story is, of course, interceptions on both sides of the aisle. On one side, you have the Steelers in terms of opportunities to have game-changing plays defensively, even though the defense after that first quarter really settled down and pitched a shutout in the second half for the most part. It's the interceptions, opportunity for easy plus territory drives for the offense that went aside. And I think there were things that would have set up the Steelers in plus territory that did not go well for the team. Of course, there's also talk about there's a lot of people in this town. It's always been a battle ever since Pickett was drafted, or the thought of taking a quarterback this draft. Of course, Kenny Pickett, 2 opportunities to put up the game-winning drive. And the first drive, I say that, man, dude was dealing. It felt like it was inevitable that they were going to score, and then it didn't happen due to penalties. Then on the second drive, he drove again. He actually he completed an NFL throw on 4th down in the middle of the field to Pat Freiermuth that set them up, but rookie mistake. He's trying to do too much. He has a running lane that could easily let him be out of bounds. Instead, he opts to throw it to Deontay Johnson in the end zone near the near side of the camera, or wherever side of the camera it is, on the near side somewhere. And it gets picked off. Game over. And that's the story of the game. And it's been a back and forth tug of war between the factions of Steeler Nation. You got some that are saying Kenny's not the guy. It has to be done. They have to go the way of Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray for him next year. Or they're saying, like many rational people probably should do, is this is his 3rd NFL start. So, Brandon, you get the first take because you are the credentialed reporter. You've been in the room. You've seen at least the emotions that maybe can't exactly be picked up by cameras. So what are your thoughts?
Well, we should hold him accountable for what his performance was. 3 interceptions. We don't care if there's a snafu in their performance. You know, you have to just be better. You got to play better. You got to make better decisions with the ball. Defense, I know they dropped some opportunities, but what the hell were they going to do with it? To be honest with you, they had what? See, the defense pitched a shutout. Miami pitched a shutout too. So it just depends on, like, it's the Canada Dry offense that needs to be fixed. And you came up with a solution, Ty, online, just joking around, which would be a tenable solution. Frank Wright. And before we go back to you, we're going to include Chris in this podcast before we just have a one-on-one podcast. So what would you feel about Chris Wright? Frank White.
Oh, it can't be any worse than Matt Canada. I mean, the most points the Steelers have scored this year is 20. Overall 23 in the first game, but Minka Fitzpatrick had a pick 6 in that game, and they had to go to overtime. So this offense just it's abysmal, really, and I can't believe I don't know if Canada's going to last after the bye week. I don't know how he can. I think Tomlin made a big mistake, or hiring him in the first place, and now he's kind of just sticking with him because I don't think he wants to admit that he made a bad decision of hiring him. But as far as Kenny Pickett, yeah, like those last 2 interceptions, that wasn't on Matt Canada. That was clearly on Pickett. The first one, Claypool, got tripped or he fell. But the second one he forced it. It was 3rd and 16. They got backed up. After the quarterback sneak, legal motion was called and there was a holding penalty. And that wasn't even a good ball. It was wobbly. It was raining there, and he just forced it. And then the last one, he should have just ran for the first down, went out of bounds, or just threw it away. It was just both of them. He forced both of them.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that might be a real issue, his hands being too small? He can't really play in the elements like that. With games like that, he has to have 2 gloves on, or when it gets real cold, because it gets cold. I mean, they don't play up until they're going to be playing December football here in Pittsburgh. At Pitt, your season ends in November, late November. You might get a cold game, but you're gonna deal with real cold, and also you're gonna be playing in real cold, real elements, and all that other stuff. So, do you think that could be an issue for him?
I did. I mean, I raised my eyebrows when I saw that the second interception. It was a wobbly pass and everything. I know it was raining, but I mean, I was like, my God, it was a terrible pass. For an NFL quarterback to make.
Yeah, I mean, it raises a concern, but you have to wonder: is there adjustments? Is there a countermeasure that he could do that can limit that? Because again, the pass to Fryer move, he drove that like most NFL quarterbacks. So the question,
that was a big time throw.
Yeah, that was a big time lead your tight end wide receiver throw, and he had to get everything on it. And look, everyone wants to see a perfect spiral and all that stuff, and everybody wants to see 70-yard bombs out there. But what so many people say on TV, and I'm going to say this out here so people understand this, arm strength is not how far you can launch it, it's how quick you can get it to the receiver.
But can you do it, though? I'm talking about that could be an issue for him in the future. And also, it could just be, we need to see how good he is. Now they're talking about maybe doing a platoon system with Trubisky and Pickett.
Like what they do in college football? Like rotating?
You're running a college offense. You got a college offense. You got a college offensive coordinator.
No, I'm not a fan of the rotating. I see it whenever I watch Duquesne because that's what they do. They have a quarterback that they replace with because the backup quarterback can push the ball down the field further. So, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I'm not really a big fan of rotating quarterbacks, even the college level. They got right with Pickett. They made the decision. He has to go through these growing pains. He's a rookie quarterback. People got to understand. Yeah, Roethlisberger would have won that game against the Jets and the Dolphins, but this is what you get with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, what do you expect the guy to go out there as a Hall of Famer and just go out there and win the game for you? Would it be nice at this stage? Yes. It would be really nice at this stage.
Yeah, the Steelers fans expect something like that. They do.
Yeah, most rookie quarterbacks are usually not really that great either. I mean, and he's a
Trevor Lawrence is a second-year quarterback, and he made the throw, but it got stopped the yard short.
Yeah, and when you're a quarterback that's 20th or later, like the odds of being good are usually even worse, really.
Everyone's getting on it with age and NFL ready. NFL ready is, for me, the definition of NFL ready after hearing it through the entire draft process and then seeing how an NFL ready quarterback is. It's can you give yourself a chance out there? And look, everybody can say they're not happy with the outcome. I'm not happy with the outcome. But for him to get down the field in a critical situation like that, the next step is finishing. And that's an entire situation with the Steelers offense at this point. It's been the problem for the past 2 years, really, since you can argue after the Dallas game in 2020. It's, can you finish off drives? Can you finish a drive that begins the game, that begins the second half? Especially whenever you love to defer to the second half. It gives you options. You don't have to force the ball down the field in a 2-minute drill. You can take your time, and if it's not there for you, take the field goal, and then you go back out there and get the touchdown. That's the thing with the Steelers right now. It's about finishing. It's about making the right play calls. It's about making the right decisions. It's being right in the end.
I have no idea what you said. But what was you talking about? I think you was going out a little bit.
Well, as you can see, that's the love of Restream. So that clearly failed. So basically, it was an entire diatribe about, it's about finishing for this team. They can't finish drives to begin the game. They can't finish drives to begin the half. They can't finish a drive. What makes you think they're going to finish a drive at the end of the game right now?
Of course, they can't finish games, period. The defense has hard. I mean, last couple of days, they had a hard time finishing games last year and this year.
What do you want to say the positive is right now for the Steelers offense? I'd say one positive for this that you're hoping is steps by the end of the season is that sometimes when they have the ball, they actually hold on to it for a little bit. It's 16-10, our final score, for a reason.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you're worried about. There's still maddening 3-and-outs, but when you look at the other side, the Dolphins did it too. That's the reason why they had 2 shots to win this game at the end, through it all.
No points by either team there in the second half. It was like a ton of punts. It was kind of a boring game, real to the I'm not a big fan of that many punts, but the fourth quarter was entertaining. Like Pickett, drive them down the field, but came up short both times. It was Tomlin said it right. Like the Dolphins made the plays, like they made the interceptions, while the Steelers had 4 dropped interceptions.
Bingo.
That was the difference. That was the difference, but I can't blame the defense for this loss at all. I don't care. Drops interception. They gave him a chance to win after that first 10 minutes because we was like, we was going to do the Twitter sphere, but he was like, Brandon's about to explode. Oh, it wasn't.
I was about to explode because I did not expect
you guys were
from Tua.
You guys
I mean,
need to.
I knew that he was. I thought it was going to take a little bit of time. I did not think that it was going to be in the first 10 minutes that they just go out there and just dime, good run, dime, touchdown.
Yeah, it was the first quarter. It was getting a little ugly there, but they bounced back, and then they bounced back. They did the best they could. If you had a T.J. Watt back there make a turnover, then you win that game. But they didn't have T.J. Watt. They had what in the world happened to Highsmith yesterday? He did not record a single statistic.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't. Only quarterback hit was from Malik Reed, and they had no sacks. So yeah, Highsmith, he was awfully quiet.
Well, this is the pressure defense, and that's what happens. He got forced around. The edge by the tackle for Miami. I know that there was one time in which he had an opportunity at Tua that I remember vividly, but yeah, aside from that, there really wasn't much else with it. Just taking a look at all this stuff. What are the positives from this game aside from the defense? I mean, Najee Harris. I don't have his rushing totals right in front of me right now. My computer.
What the hell was he doing? Like leaping for no reason.
Yeah, he was leaping for no reason, but he did have a few runs where he finally got around the corner, which was like, thank you. Where's that been?
He looked like he had more of a burst in his step. I think with not having that steal play, it was really helped him. And I thought the offensive line blocked better as run blocking. Like Kevin Dotson actually had a really good game. But they had Derek Watt in there as a fullback too, more than I noticed as a lead blocker.
Hold up, how much is he making? What is this? How much is he making per year?
Like $2 million or something.
It's like $3 million. I don't know for sure, but I think it's like $3 million.
So you're basically paying him $3 million to be a gunner. So basically you're paying him $3 million. Oh, go ahead.
Najee Harris had 17 carries for 65 yards.
Congratulations. Okay, you're paying Derek Watt $3 million for what? To be a gunner?
I mean, it's mind-boggling, really. I mean, I'm glad they played him more. I don't know what the official snap count was, but he was leading as a blocker there for Najee Harris, and it seemed like they're doing better and everything, but offense is just way too inconsistent. The penalties and everything, just like what they're doing is like they shoot themselves in the foot, and like they do exactly what a bad football team does. Like they had 3rd and 1, and they're called for a legal motion. And then Dan Moore Jr. got called for a holding penalty, and like they're set up with 3rd and 16. It's just unbelievable. And
then he has to force it. And then can we get rid of this tight end screen, please? Because this is getting that's the Canada Dry special right there. The tight end screen.
It worked once last year.
The shovel pass to your slowest player on the offense, Gentry, and they did the screen to Gentry also. It was. Yeah, so Matt can't.
It wasn't even the guy that did the tight end screen last year. It was Raider.
Yeah, you mentioned where Najee Harris was jumping and stuff. Well, the Dolphins made they had a safety blitz on that play, and it was like a bunch set to the right, and Matt Canada called a play to the left, to the weak side. So like where they were outnumbered. Trey Essick, the former Steelers offensive lineman, he mentioned this on Twitter. He posted a photo of the play, and he showed it like strong side to the right, and then he runs to the left where the Dolphins had brought that blitz.
So what is that? Is that just dumb luck on that part, or is that trying to? I mean, you hear about the unbalanced line type stuff, and I've seen it. Chris, Brandon, we've watched enough high school football this year to see that we've definitely have at least once seen an unbalanced line play, though that's high school. That's not the pros. Yeah, more than likely, those pros can make that play.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Essick, he put it on Matt Canada saying it was like poorly planned, poorly, offensive schematics wise. You're right. It could have been just a great defensive call for that play, but Najee Harris really didn't have a chance on that play.
I'm not giving Matt Canada props, by the way. I'm just saying, I'm just being nice.
Did you guys see that stat where the Steelers receivers, they mentioned during the broadcast that the receivers have the most handoffs in the league. So, most of them, jet sweeps. They tried that double reverse, I think. That didn't work at all. So
I'm so glad that I missed that, because I think I would have lost my entire mind seeing a double reverse in 2022. Defenses are too fast for that. And I know that everybody is out here saying, I hate RPOs right now. Well, guess what? That's a part of the league. And
for the Steelers can't run them right.
That's a learning thing. I'd see a million RPOs before I see a double reverse that is in like Madden NFL 06.
Yeah. For some reason, I didn't even like running them then.
Yeah. They double reverse. A legal man downfield for the RPOs all the time for some reason.
Well, welcome to the growing pains of not really running RPOs and then deciding, well, we gotta have one new wrinkle out there to make a defense think a little. But the thing is, again, with you have to look at it like this. Here's an offensive line that has never ran an RPO like this, probably since they were in college. And then you have a quarterback who's trying to adjust to the NFL, in which it's no longer 5 yards downfield, it's 1 yard downfield for that. It's a cacophony of suck, for lack of a better term.
Yes, it sucks. It totally sucks. But
what are you going to do?
Question.
You want to make easy plays, right? That's an easy play.
Yeah. You know what the easy play is? Find number 14 and throw on the ball. That's an easy play for you. How about that?
Yeah, I said this. I said this on Twitter. Man, that final drive in the first half, that's a glimpse of something where you just try not to be the smartest man in the room and just say, we got athletes. Chase Claypool is an athlete. He tripped on someone else's feet, but he's still an athlete. George Pickens, he's him. Powerpuff Girls and all. And Deontay Johnson, now that he seems to got everything reined in check, and Pickett likes him about as much as any other receiver that isn't named Pickens or Freiermuth over the middle. So, yeah, they have the athletes to do something about this. It's just about telling Matt Canada, stop trying to be the smartest man in the room, and if you're going to use your athletes, please don't make it a jet sweep.
Why do you say he's smart? Because if he'd be twice as smart, he'd still be stupid.
Well, I try to be nice to NFL coordinator. I try to be nice. I really try to be nice, because if I was look, Brandon, if I was like you, I'd be cursing all over the place right now. So instead, I choose to be nice, and that's the meanest thing I could do, because if I was being generous, that would be normal. Nice is me being mean right now.
Yeah, you are being being mean right now.
Exactly.
You got to comport yourself a little bit better.
But it doesn't seem that bad.
No, I'm just joking.
Exactly. I mean, I think I'm like every other Steeler supporter. I'm not going to use the word fan anymore. Supporter, basically. You want to see them do well, and it stinks. You haven't felt this since 2003 right now, where that's it. There's not much coming around the corner right now.
They had a couple, 8-8 seasons, but it depends on how they do, moving forward. But this week on Sunday is going to be a tough game against undefeated, Eagles. So, and they're probably looking at 2-6 going into the bye week. So,
everyone's talked about this hellacious stretch for the Steelers. So, why don't we take a look what's happening after that? Because frankly, that's where things get interesting for me, at least. Because it's like, all right, hell stretch is over. Can they do something from there?
And the Bucks are.
You talking about after the Philadelphia game?
Yes.
Yeah, and the Bucks are not as good as everyone thought about. Leading.
They're facing New Orleans, Indianapolis, Atlanta, the Seahawks again. The Jazz. Oh wait, that's the preseason.
No, they don't play Seahawks.
That stupid ESPN. Yeah. I mean, the Colts and the Falcons are about as hot as a mess as it gets right now. At least the Falcons have some general idea of what they want to do. The Raiders, that's a game that I think everyone's going to be up for because it's Christmas Eve. The Panthers are the Panthers right now. So, yeah, that's 3 wins, hopefully.
Maybe they'll go undefeated against the NFC South.
That'd be nice.
But then again, they're going to drop a game where you'll be like, it doesn't confirm that they're terrible. Like, they'll lose. They'll have a low bar Tomlin special.
Do you give them any chance
You'll
on
be
Sunday?
like, no. No.
They have a good quarterback duo, the Eagles. That's what I'm worried about. Pickett, the amount of interceptions that he's been throwing lately.
Darius Slay, big play Slay.
Yeah, and Bradbury.
Yeah,
James Bradbury.
That was going to be Yeah, it's rough. It's gonna be rough.
There's always a chance, but I doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the spread's 11 points right now. So it's going to be – and they haven't won in Philadelphia since 1965. I know they don't play like every year, but still, that's a pretty crazy stat.
And they don't really have much success against Philadelphia, period, even with Roethlisberger at quarterback.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, what else takes from the Dolphins game can you guys think about? It wasn't really a great game, like I said. It was like the Dolphins came out hot. They scored on their first 3 possessions. They were up 13-0, and then their offense fell apart in the second half. You know, so the Steelers really. I mean, wasn't a whole lot of scoring going on.
The reinvigoration of Chase Claypool. I mean, yes, everybody wants to say about the tripped feet, but these last 2 weeks, he looks more like the guy that had 4 touchdowns against Philadelphia. I mean, that's one thing you could say. The wide receivers and tight ends, when the ball is thrown their way, unless the defense makes a heroic play at this point, they tend to make the catch right now, which is always encouraging over the last 2 years with this team. What else? Terrell Edmonds, basically
he played well.
Step for step with Tyreek Hill, because if Tyreek Hill gets any shot at that ball, easy touchdown.
Yeah, Minka had a good game. I thought he had a big hit there on the goal line that broke up a pass.
Dare I say that might have actually gotten the defense back in order.
Right.
I mean, in terms of it, it's the defense minus the inability to put 2 hands onto the ball.
Yeah. Devin Bush. After that one play, he played well. I'm actually starting to be after the past month. I'm actually a little bit proud of him.
I don't think it's always going to be sunshine and rainbows with Devin Bush, but hey, if you want any consolation, I seen something about Devin White, the other Devin that the Steelers could have got, Tampa Bay Bucks and all that stuff. He's among the tops in missed tackles. So, I mean, in terms of everything, it probably wasn't a good linebacker class, but that's just assuming it off of those two. And Devin White actually did play pretty well in the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
right.
I take a look at this and I go, I come out of this with better expectations for the defense after that, because they have 3 minds that are, for what everyone will probably disagree with at least 2 of the 3 that are elite defensive minds. So you kind of expect the defense to go out there and after a while be able to adjust. So defensive adjustments, I'm very, very pleased with this team over the last 2 weeks. Defensive game plans, of course, against Tampa was pretty good. It didn't work out early, but again, that's where the adjustments came through that I'm actually pretty happy with in terms of it. Now it's just about the offense finishing and maybe getting some guy in there that's trying not to do too much. I don't want to call him smart because Brandon is going to kill me.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about Devin Bush. He's actually looked a lot better this year. He looks more confident. Maybe Brian Flores has a role in that. But yeah, I think the defense, after those, the 3 possessions that they gave up that result in points, they really, hammered down and they're playing, really well. But the thing that's really hurting them right now is they miss T.J. Watt a lot. I mean, only 1 sack, or no sacks, but only 1 quarterback hit. They need more of that, and they got to capitalize on those turnovers. Like they were right there. They could have had multiple turnovers. The Cam Sutton one was the one that really got me. Is like the ball was right in his hands, and the Dolphins ended up kicking a field goal there right at the end of the half. So those are the 2 points. But they held Waddle and Hill for the most part in check, really.
Oh yeah, and the punter's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's just not it. We gave him a pass last year because number one, he was a rookie. Number two, he had a lot going on. But this year, he's just proven that the Steelers need an upgrade in the punter position.
You can't.
Hold up. And by the way, why is
it's crazy how much bad luck this team has had really since I was born with punters. Sepulveda, hurt. Mitch Berger, he didn't really have to punt with the greatest show on turf, the best offense ever. What else? Chris Gardocki, I don't really remember much.
I was about to say, I was like, you're missing your favorite punter that you always mention.
Who's my favorite punter?
Chris Gardocki or whatever.
I don't really. Have I ever talked about Chris Gardocki once on this podcast?
Maybe the first year of the podcast. What you remember the one podcast we were doing where we were bringing up like all these random Steelers and you like Jay, who's the Jay Reamsma, the tight end or what it was?
Jay Reamersma.
Yeah.
Jay Reamersma. For a while, the Steelers were the most dearth of talent at tight end ever. It made me put Eric Ebron as at least in my lifetime a top 3 tight end.
Yeah, I think that's when it was. It was during the Ebron years, so like 2020, and we somehow got talking about Chris Gardocki and how Chris Gardocki was
before Brandon.
Yeah.
I've lost my mind.
Gardocki. Wow, we just crushing this.
Yeah, Brandon, do you have any last things before we wrap this up? We want to make sure our credential reporter has his words in before we adjourn.
Yeah, Brandon, give us your hot take of the week.
They're going to lose. I think they're going to lose in Philly. They need to fire the offensive coordinator on the bye week. The Canada Dry offense has ran dry. And I have nothing else right now.
Well, we'll count it down from there. Next up is the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll have someone in on the podcast for that. For the live shot, expect Wednesday and Thursday. And if we don't have it for you Thursday night, then we're just gonna do it ourselves, I guess. So we give you content because we're content creators like that. But anyway, that's all for us. For Brandon Walker and Chris Ward, I'm Ty Polk. Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on renegadeblitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.